Welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are here to discuss the aftermath. We promised you guys we would do this episode after our Superman review, the aftermath and what is to come in the future of the DCU, led by James Gunn. There's a lot to talk about, not only with the aftermath of that film, but there were a lot of tidbits and updates that were dropped actually last week after we recorded, which is great. So this is perfect timing for us to discuss the future of DC and what they're going to be doing. There's also a lot of Marvel updates, but that's for another day. There's been a lot of Marvel stuff too. Kevin Feige kind of was like, we've messed up for the last 4 years. That's rather here nor there. But I'm going to be one of your hosts for this episode. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I'm joined by Vinny Albano.
Hello, hello.
And Michael Peniston.
What's up?
We got the crew back, ready to talk about it. Let's start with the one thing that was rumored that we kind of teased in the Superman review that relates directly with Superman, which is that there are these two spin-offs potentially that have been brought up that may happen with two of the most popular characters from the film. We have Jimmy Olsen, played by Skylar Gisondo, and we have Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gathegi. Two characters that made a very serious impression, obviously. With Skylar's character, you would think that they might pivot to a Daily Planet show. I don't know how much they could revolve around his character singularly. With Mr. Terrific, I'd be really interested to see an origin and kind of see, even though I know we had said last week, we're tired of the origins, which I do get, but Mr. Terrific is a character that, unlike a Spider-Man or a Batman or a Superman even, we haven't seen his origin ever in media. So I'd be interested to kind of see how that goes. But when you hear this, Vinny, with those two characters being some of the first ones coming off of Superman that they want to focus on, how do you feel about them maybe going in that direction with the series?
I echo the same opinion as you. I would love to see just kind of an introspective, more honestly serious Mr. Terrific show. I think that would be really, really cool. And, how does he juggle with being the smartest person on the planet? Question mark. I don't know. If he is, he definitely is up there. And how does he juggle with that? What was his upbringing like? Very curious. If I had to choose between the two, I would go with Mr. Terrific. Even an 8-episode mini series would be really cool. Not even that. Even if with what I love what James Gunn is doing is that this whole universe is a filmmaker's universe. And it's just so freeform in the way that he's literally, I know we just talked about that Josh Horowitz interview and how he was saying on that interview that he's accepting anything as long as it's a good script. And I love that. Yeah. So maybe they have a good mini series or a good movie. I would love to see that for Mr. Terrific. And the whole Daily Planet Jimmy Olsen, that would be cool. But then again, I love Jimmy Olsen. How can you carry a show on the back of that, though?
Yeah. Michael?
I agree, although I am opposed in some areas with you guys, but for the most part, I agree. I was a very big fan of both those characters in Superman, so I think it is smart to be able to build something off of them, especially with the hype of those characters. I agree, Mr. Terrific. A film is regarding his background would be really cool to see, like you said, Darian. It hasn't been done before. And like you said, Vinny, it'd be cool just to see him having to navigate the challenge of being the smartest man, on the planet, question mark, as you put it. But I also feel like in this world that he's established and coming off of our interview and bringing up the point that Superman just drops us in the heat of a moment. It's it doesn't necessarily have to be built. This film, it's just kind of bring us in the midst of an already told story, I guess you could say. So I feel personally, I would love to see a Mr. Terrific film, but I feel there's enough room that what's it called? They could just kind of throw I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this. They could kind of throw a film in here that takes place before the time events of Superman, where it's you see Mr. Terrific and you kind of are seeing his backstory through things like this. The only reason I'm saying this, before I say that, let me say I know that there is like a storyline in there's a comic, at least the Terrifics, I believe, where it's like him, Metamorpho, and two other people. I forget who they are. I could also see them potentially doing like a miniseries, like you said, Vinny, or something like that, building towards maybe like a project like that, considering we've already gotten a few of those characters. But also hearing this Jimmy Olsen show in the midst, I think I prefer to see something like that, surprisingly, over Mr. Terrific thing. And it's only because I heard a rumor that with a project something like that with the Jimmy Olsen thing, it could be geared towards just like a DC villain anthology, where it's just like from like the Daily Planet's point of view, and I guess it's Jimmy's point of view, but being in the Daily Planet, but kind of taking on these DC villains, and seeing it from just like the human eye, or like this world, or like the normal ordinary person. So I feel like that could be really cool, and then especially knowing his relationship with Clark, could be able to have David Corn, sorry,
you got it,
sorry,
Corn Sweat, yeah.
Sorry, David. What's it called? To have him thrown in there in the midst every so often as like this Clark character. I think that could be cool. It's a way we could explore the Daily Planet as well a little bit more. But I think it could just be really cool to see a DC villains from the eye of not only a journalistic view, but also just an ordinary citizen. And so I'm a big fan of both those projects, but I would lean towards the Jimmy one for sure.
Yeah, I think both could be really interesting ideas. With there was a series I really loved that was on HBO, which again goes back to like Warner owns HBO too, called The Newsroom. That was written by Aaron Sorkin. Part of me wants, if they did a Daily Planet type thing, like a Jimmy Olsen thing, that would be kind of how I'd like to see them lean, because the journalistic integrity of what all those characters represent in the comics, and there's a lot of characters that are barely touched upon. Like we don't get a lot of Perry White. We barely get Cat Grant like at all in the movie. And so like having those personalities kind of shine more in that light would be really interesting. I think the best way to do that is doing it in a series, but that rumor that you heard, Michael, is really interesting, and I haven't heard that before, so that would be a really different kind of take, and I'm curious if that's maybe the one project that James keeps teasing, that it's like, oh, we've never done this before and anyone can easily steal it, because that's something where we haven't seen that. Like we haven't seen a series for Marvel or Star Wars or anything, or Lord of the Rings, where it's like citizens that are just seeing the way the things are playing out. Like that would be that maybe an interesting perspective and point of view that maybe hasn't been covered yet. I liked Mr. Terrific a little bit more, and I would love to see them do a mini series, and I would love to see someone like Rick Famuyiwa do it, whether it's executive producing or writing and directing. I think having a black filmmaker with the sensibility to kind of understand what his origin was and where he came from, because he's a character that's beloved already through one movie, but we don't have, even as comic book movie fans, like you have to be, I feel like, kind of a diehard comic fan to know who he is. Like he's always been like one of those like B-list kind of characters, but a character that now is going to become a lot more in the future of the DCU, which James Gunn's already kind of talked about. So I think that getting to see that go in that direction is really interesting, and it's cool that they're already trying to build off of the success of Superman. But there's a lot of other projects already coming with the DCU, and there's a lot of other things that they're preparing for. And I think all three of us have seen Peacemaker, correct?
Yes.
I have not.
You have not seen Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so,
I started it and I never finished it.
okay.
Yeah.
But you started like when it came out originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Peacemaker season 2, as of the night we're recording this, is a month away from streaming season 2. Very excited for that. And James Gunn did confirm in that Happy, Sad, Confused interview with Josh Horowitz that it's literally a direct follow-up to Superman. And he confirmed all the characters that we saw in the trailer are all going to be in the series, at least in a supporting fashion. So it's going to be more than just maybe like a cameo. So we're going to get more of Guy Gardner. We're going to get more of Hawkgirl. We're going to get a lot more of Maxwell Lord, which we literally only got like, I don't know, a 10-second scene with Sean Gunn in it. There's another character I think he also brought up that is going to be in it that was in Superman. But Peacemaker is a character that, similar to Mr. even probably more low profile than Mr. Terrific was, that has now become a household name in the DC library because of John Cena's breakout role in the Suicide Squad, and then James Gunn doing his first television series, writing and directing that whole entire first season. and having it connect with Amanda Waller, with Viola Davis, and the sensibilities that they bring in all these ensembles. Chukwudi Iwuji goes from that to the High Evolutionary, like a lot of things with that. But it's teased in the trailer, and I know you have. So I'm not going to say anything for season 1. You've seen the trailer for season 2, correct? Mm-hmm. It's teased, and we didn't talk about this a lot in the Superman review, but it's teased that these pocket universes have a lot to do with this new. I hate using the word because it's so oversaturated at this point, but it's a multiversal angle, right? It is something to where they are showing that you can go into different timelines or different periods where not everybody can sort of have the access to that tech that Lex Luthor had in Superman, that I believe it's the White Dragon is his father, right? Is Peacemaker's father?
Yes.
Chris Smith Sr., what he has in Peacemaker. And so I'm curious, this is more, I guess, for you, because Vinny hasn't seen the series yet, and I don't know, you probably didn't watch the trailer, but we've seen the technology now in terms of the pocket universes. There's been rumors that they might be doing this Crisis on Infinite Earths as this first big sort of arc where they're going to end up by the end of this, I don't know, 10-year plan with DC, who knows. But for you, are you more excited going into Peacemaker season 2 than you thought, especially knowing that it literally has a direct follow-up with Superman?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to go into this. I was a big fan of Peacemaker season 1. And to hear the connection to Superman with these pocket universes, I feel like there's a lot of ways they could play with that. Just simply the fact of having Peacemaker be a character that like has access to like information that no one else does. That's almost like can we believe this guy sort of thing is like kind of there's like almost like a comedy bit to that, especially knowing that character.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool, but then also it is cool, I guess, this early to be establishing that this exists. Marvel maybe they took a while to build to a multiverse, and then once they did, they melted. Like to kind of just establish that this exists in this world. Like we'll tie to it every so often. I think that's a good way. That could be smart. I think it's very smart to do it. This early, just to allow all of those things to be through. Allow, even if you want to tie in old things, old DC projects, if he wants to do that for whatever reason, there's that room to do it this early. But again, also just coming off of Superman, and also getting the cameo of his, I feel like there's a lot that could be played with this now already it's like discovered pocket universe that we really haven't truly seen a lot of, like Let's kind of just like has access to it and like all these portals and doors, but they never really established how or why, which is cool, like for the sake of the movie. But I feel like Peacemaker could kind of like delve into that and like what is really inside of like these, like with all of that. So that could be really interesting. And for John Cena's character to just again be the one to do that. But it's also cool, again, getting the cameo, knowing that, it would be cool and funny. Like, what if, Superman had a cameo in this? And, like, I don't think it's that far off just because it seems like James Gunn wants us to, the audience to be established with the fact that, no, these characters are all in this world together. Like phase 1 of Marvel, like, these characters didn't meet till like the meetup. Like no, like he could do something where like the Superman flies by and talks by. Like it's just this type of world. So it is interesting to see. I think Peacemaker is going to be more important of a character in this world than we realize.
Yeah, he could basically play maybe like the Star-Lord-esque character for DC compared to how Chris Pratt was for the MCU. I know you have no reference of the first season of Peacemaker, but you did see the Suicide Squad, correct?
Oh yeah.
So you have seen the Suicide Squad. You are the only one, I believe, of the three of us that finished Creature Commandos, unless I'm wrong. I don't know if you also finished it. Yeah.
I love Creature Commandos.
And so the other character that I forgot to mention, and I guess this could be a good question for you, is that Rick Flag Sr. is going to be he's like the main antagonist of Peacemaker season 2. And obviously he's going to be going for the retribution of the death of his son, which we see in the Suicide Squad. So what are your thoughts on getting to see more of Frank Grillo in live action from the crossover from the animated, and we got a glimpse of him in Superman in this like political position, but now he's kind of going to be headhunting Chris Smith and Peacemaker.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think he fits the part. God, what was his name again? I always forget. My mom loves
The actor?
him. Yeah.
Frank Grillo.
Oh, Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So sorry, you just said that. I apologize. Yeah, my mom loves him ever since like Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. One thing that's always a little irked me though is he old enough to play
The father of Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I mean, he
he-
looks
they-
older. He looks grizzled. Like he has kind of that look. I mean, he might have
Yeah.
had to have had him when he was like 20,
Hmm.
which would be because I think he's in his 60s.
Hmm.
If I had to guess, maybe early 60s.
Really?
Maybe. I'll look it up. But you keep
Yeah.
going.
That's like my biggest opinion, honestly. I'm excited for him. I hate to like pivot from your question, but we talked about Infinite Crisis being the big build-up. I think they're gonna save that, honestly, because that's a huge event, and to see that before we see, for example, Darkseid, like I feel like we're gonna see a Darkseid first. We're gonna see a proper Justice League film before we get to like Infinite Crisis on Earth and stuff.
So what do you think about what are your thoughts on the pocket universes and what that could kind of have an impact on going forward in the DCU?
So my interpretation of the pocket universe, at least in Superman, wasn't a direct like, hey, this is a multiverse, but rather like a just a pocket universe that Lex was putting all his gizmos and gadgets in. But obviously, like you said, it does open the way for multiverse. That means Power Girl. Power Girl is a big one because Power Girl is just Earth 2 version of Supergirl.
Okay.
So that's a big one that there's a potential that Power Girl shows up in the or in the Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
But I think they're definitely gonna want her as a character sometime in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
May it be Millie Alcock just in a different outfit, or they might get a different actor, but that is where my brain is leading when we think of multiverse.
Well, part of what we didn't talk about in the Superman review either, which was another kind of, not that it's going to lead to this definitively, but there's been a lot of speculation online that with Ultraman being kicked into this black hole, that we could wind up seeing Bizarro in the future. I don't know if either of you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige texted James Gunn after seeing the movie and said, I love it. I want to see Bizarro, which is also like a lot of people are excited about it as a character that we've seen a lot in animation. And I know we've seen, I don't know if Bizarro came up in Smallville or anything, but I'm pretty sure that they had Bizarro in Superman and Lois, the recent CW series that Tyler Hoechlin was on. But that's something that a lot of people want to see. So is that similar to kind of where they can go with the Power Girl thing, where again, it's like a clone or something relatively close to kind of off the beaten path of that character, do you think?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. It's tough to say. It's really because we're so early on.
Yeah.
We're only one film in, so it's really tough to say like what direction they want to go. But I think they're gonna save a lot of it if they were to do Infinite Crisis and Elseworld stories. They're gonna save that for later down the line.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything on it, Michael?
I mean, to the Bizarro thing, that point, I definitely see them building towards that. I don't see it being a major. I see it being a major thing, but I don't see it being a major thing in the way of it being like he comes back for his revenge and he's the big bad. Like I think he just shows up and you're like, oh shit, it's Bizarro,
Yeah.
And it's like a funny thing. And maybe I know him. Funny enough, Superman and Bizarro have had team ups in the comics, I think, and like they could kind of do something like that where it's just you have like smart David versus dumb David, like kind of fighting somebody, which would be cool to see. Other than that though, also to Bizarro, I feel like there are a lot of signs that make sense that could be something. Like I know that he can. I don't know a lot about DC, as stated in the last record, but there are certain characters I'm a big fan of, and Bizarro is one of those guys. I'm just very interested with that character. And I know that there are like little things that with him, like he can fly. Or at least he's flown through a black hole before, and he got sucked into a black hole. So like, there's like, oh well, maybe he survived, and like maybe the black hole does something where it reverses his powers, and like that's why he has the reverse. So there are enough signs, and it would be really cool to see. But as far as building towards anything, that's the only thing I could see.
Yeah.
I agree with it. It's so early.
It is early, but Gunn kind of lays the foundation for certain things, whether it's in dialogue, like when Superman is trapped in, I forget what it's called. I mean, it's a pocket universe, but it's kind of like I don't know if it has a name, but like the kind of jail that Lex has everybody held in, and Metamorpho has the kryptonite aimed towards him, and he's like takes it away, and he's like, why aren't you recovering? He's like, I have no sunlight. With Ultraman being in this black hole, it's like all he's getting is darkness. So it's like, is he ever able to recover from all of those things? I know that they said that's kind of part of his origin in the comics, I'm pretty sure. So I think it's more likely than not that we're going to get it. It's just curious on when we're going to wind up getting it. And I think that that's where the foundation setting for the first few projects after Superman is so interesting. Because, like you said, James Gunn will just kind of greenlight something if he thinks the script is right. And there were a couple things that he confirmed in that podcast, which you haven't had a chance to listen to. So I'm going to kind of just rattle some things off, and then I'm going to cut to yourself and see what are some things you're excited about based on what he said, based on the things that are confirmed and what he kind of locked in. So after Peacemaker season 2, the next thing we're going to be getting in early 2026 is Lanterns. We know Lanterns is coming out. It has a crazy writing team with Damon Lindelof, who did like The Leftovers and Watchmen, and Bill Dubuque, who did Ozark, and Tom King, who's like a legendary comic book writer. We're getting the introduction to Jon Stewart in that with Aaron Pierre and Hal Jordan, with Kyle Chandler. We're getting Sinestro. So it's a very they said it's a cosmic version of True Detective, but it's also still grounded on Earth. So really interested in what's going to happen with that. Supergirl is picture locked. It's done. It's completely it's wrapped. In that, we know that Supergirl is very prominent. It's a character that we got an introduction to at the end of Superman. Krypto will also return in that movie. Krypto has a big part in that, which I know is something that you felt a certain way about in Superman. So curious to hear what you think about that. But we also get the debut of Lobo. Jason Momoa's Lobo, who's an actor that's wanted to play that character for over a decade when he was cast as Aquaman. After that, Clayface is just about to start shooting. It's starring this very, very unknown actor. I think his name is Tom Rhys Harries. I might be wrong on that. Mike Flanagan wrote the script for that, which he did Haunting of Hill House, and he's doing the new Carrie reboot, and he's done a bunch of big things. I think he also did, what else? Did he do Dr. Sleep?
Yeah,
Maybe
he did
two.
Dr. Sleep. He also did Midnight Mass.
Yes. So he's done a bunch of things in the horror space. That's supposed to be a big budget. He said it's like a Blumhouse horror movie that just exists within DCU. It's going to be rated R. Teen Titans is being written. It's written by the same writer that did Supergirl, and it was actually announced as of our recording today that same exact writer is doing Wonder Woman. And that was confirmed today. That was completely confirmed by James Gunn. A couple other things really quick. The Authority was something he announced early on. The engineer, who's a character in Superman, is a member of that team. James Gunn said and then quickly pivoted to saying the writer went on to do something else because he couldn't crack it. So I think that James Gunn was probably aiming for that to be his next project, and he has now since pivoted to something different. And Sergeant Rock, which was announced about to start filming, had Luca Guadagnino attached to direct it. Justin Kuritsky's, who wrote the script for Challengers, did the first pass at the screenplay. That movie is still happening. They're trying to film it next year with a new director. They have a new way they're going about it. No confirmed cast as of now, but the rumored cast was massive. It was Colin Farrell, Jeremy Allen White, Mike Feist, and David Johnson from Alien, the most recent Alien movie. So there's a lot there. These are all things that are in the periphery. These are things that are like more likely happening than not. And then I guess the last thing I will just say, because you brought up Elseworlds, he did confirm that the Batman Part 2 script is great. He said that there's only a little small fixes. It is an Elseworlds story, and he said they will not be releasing 2 Batman movie in the same calendar year. So the Batman Part 2 is scheduled right now to come out in 2027, right? Which means The Brave and the Bold won't come out until at least 2028. So we might not have a DCU proper Batman for another 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information I just threw at you. Give me some things you're excited about, nervous about, however you're feeling.
What's it called? Actually, surprisingly enough, when was that interview? Because I feel like I knew some of that stuff.
Some of that stuff was rumored but it was more of just the interview came out. I believe it was Wednesday, and it was a lot of more just Josh Horowitz confirming with James Gunn what is happening, what's not happening, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, from that list then of potential projects, I feel like for me, the most exciting thing, I don't think there's really any fear or concern for me. Like, I feel like Superman and just James Gunn at this point have proven enough that like any direction they want to go with this universe, I'm curious to see. Vinny, you brought up earlier in the conversation that like this James Gunn's clearly establishing a universe where like filmmaking, like you could just kind of go crazy with it and you could kind of do certain things. So I don't see like too many things failing, to be honest. I think that there's the idea of taking creative and ambitious leaps, but I feel like it's so early for them that it's like they can get away with this. But of this list, the things that I'm excited for, definitely Clayface. I feel like we haven't really gotten a horror version of either like
Marvel
hero
or DC, yeah.
yeah, you know, and even hero or villain, you know, and I feel like there's so many villains to play with that we just haven't gotten that. So it's like that's already cool to see, but for it to also be a body horror, it's been coming off of The Substance. Like I just feel like that could be really interesting to see, especially in this world. So I'm very excited for that. Funny enough, for right now, that's like the most exciting thing that I'm for. I'm excited for the Batman. I think that the idea of Elseworlds is cool, but I love to see a world where all of this is connected, and so I get the whole that's like feeding into the multiverse thing. It's cool, and again, I love Robert Pattinson as that version of the Batman, and you know I love that film, and I'm excited for it. I would like to see his interpretation of a Batman or his this new version, and I would particularly like to see it before the Batman too, just because I would love that. That's just me, you know. I just like to see what else there is. And it's like why are we focused? Don't get me wrong, I love the Batman, but I'm like, why are we focused on a Batman that won't even appear with like the rest of the characters? And I get that to a degree, but it's like so I'll leave it at that. Right now, surprisingly, it's really just Clayface. That I'm like, interest.
Yeah. Vinny, what about you?
I'm on a similar boat with Clayface. One, because I love Mike Flanagan. I mean, he's incredible. If he does the Dark Tower series, please hire me. Please hire me. I'll be a PA. I'll run coffee. It's anyhow. Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is awesome. And what really excites me is during. I don't know if it was during the Horowitz interview or a different interview, but James Gunn was saying that the pitch deck that they gave him was filled with like real murder scene photos, and it was so gory and gruesome that like James Gunn couldn't even look. And he brought that up because he was saying in the context of the interview that he doesn't like real life gore compared to fictional gore.
Yeah.
But just knowing that film is literally like the basis and the foundation of that film is using real mangled bodies as their inspo. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sold. Not to sound like a psychopath, but I am sold because I know that Clayface is going to be extreme, and I need that to be extreme. And also I need like a Batman itch, like because the Batman Part 2 is not going to come out until so long, so I'm glad that this is coming out before Batman Part 2. And Supergirl, Lobo, did you see the set photos of Lobo?
I did not. I tried to stay away from it.
Yeah, so I saw them. It looked, I'm not gonna lie, it looked a little unpolished.
Okay.
But I am excited regardless because I think Momoa is gonna be much better Lobo than he was an Aquaman. And I'm excited all around the board. What were some of the other projects that you brought up?
We have Lanterns coming early 2026. Dynamic Duo, which has that kind of mix of live action, animation, and puppetry. And then the other ones was Sergeant Rock, and then Teen Titans, which is being written currently.
Yeah, so Teen Titans and eventually Teen Titans Dynamic Duo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, they're all connected. Because my GOAT, Dick Grayson, he is my GOAT. I love him, and he's in all of those, right? You can't have the Titans without their essential leader, right? And then Dynamic Duo, we know it's going to be covering Dick Grayson and
Jason Todd. Yeah.
And Jason Todd. And there's a chance that he doesn't show up in Brave and the Bold because I know they wanted to focus on Damian for that.
Yeah.
But just having those names out there is crazy to me as a Batman fan. Like, what? We're getting a Robin. We're getting a Nightwing. We're getting multiple Robins. That is beautiful.
I agree. James Gunn had talked about early on how it was so crucial for him and the way he wanted to go in with the take of Batman, which is also asked in the interview by Horowitz. He goes, "Do you have a take on Batman that you feel comfortable with?" And he goes, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Well, what take would that be?" And he goes, "I'm not telling you." So I love that he's direct in that. But he, from the very beginning, was like, there needs to be a Bat family. And again, he has said that I believe that the Robin that is going to exist in this world is going to probably be Damian Wayne, which means that the Dick Grayson we get is probably going to be Nightwing, which I forget when I had said it. Nightwing is my favorite comic book character of all time. So getting to see Nightwing on screen will make me so happy if and when that eventually happens. And even though, so here's my thought, and I'm curious what you guys think about this, because the other thing I brought up kind of just quickly was, because now it's official, it was announced today and confirmed by James Gunn that Ana Nogueira, who wrote the script for Supergirl, is writing the script for Teen Titans, will be the head writer on the Wonder Woman movie. So I was thinking about this and I'm like, I can't recall a time, with the exception of James Gunn, where we had the same screenwriters in all the Marvel movies in consecutive. And I'm curious on, maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. Feige had said with his response, like when he kind of did his whole damage control post Superman this weekend, he said that he likes the fact, very different than what James Gunn's sensibilities are, was like, we always go into these films with a script that I don't necessarily like, because I want the actors to feel that they can play within their characters, and there's the flexibility of that. James Gunn is the exact opposite, as you brought up, where he's like, the script has to be 100%. It has to be great. It has to be ready to go. We're not doing anything without that. But just her, and I have no reference of her as a writer. I'm pretty sure that Supergirl is, if not her first project, it's one of the first projects she's ever done. But they're very different characters, right? Yeah. Supergirl is very different than the Teen Titans, and the Teen Titans are very different than Wonder Woman. So I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts on the fact that it's like James Gunn already has kind of this, I don't want to say it's architect, but she's handling so many different corners of what they're trying to do in DC. Yeah, you know what I mean?
For me personally, and this is not to doubt her as a writer, because I'm not familiar with her work. It's just the fact that we haven't seen anything to prove yet, like how good she is. But I trust James Gunn. James Gunn must really trust her. So through mutual trust, I believe in her. I think the Teen Titans, though, that's a hard one, because Wonder Woman, Supergirl, I see the connection.
Yeah.
Teen Titans is an ensemble. And then writing an ensemble, especially with beloved characters like that.
And different characters. They're all very different characters.
Yeah, very, very. And we have Nightwing. I think they're doing the main Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Nightwing. So, man, they got to be perfect because people love them. And I love them. It's so hard to judge as of right now, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Michael, do you have any thoughts? Or maybe the same as Vinny?
Yeah, I feel like I agree. It is so hard to tell in a book like this, and it's so bold for him. I agree to put this on her. So I'm very curious to see. I know that he mentioned that Supergirl is very different from Superman, in the sense of it being a lot more rock and roll. And so I picture like where Superman was like Guardians of the Galaxy, but like a lot of heart and like that, like we talked about the humanity and the hope and all that theme in there. I feel like Supergirl might be just like a true grit, like original Star-Lord type.
It's a much darker story based on what I know of the comic.
And so hearing that, but also knowing that that she's like a young girl, I could see then maybe that connection to Titans because they're all younger, and like being able to tell just a story through younger people. Maybe she might be able to be good for that. I don't know. I definitely agree because not only is that an ensemble piece like you brought up, but like, and like you said it, you hit it on the nail. Like they're all very different, but not just very different. Like now she needs to also kind of know how to write for a black character. Now she needs to know how to write. They go like these routes, but she needs to know how to write. For what's it called? Raven in itself is an interesting character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's very complex. I can definitely see Wonder Woman being that, and I think it's smart that they're doing that, just because I feel like not only that, but woman in film. I just feel like like she should be the one over it, and I think it's smart that instead of having all these random directors and writers like Marvel did, I think it is smart to have just like a few that kind of like honing in on that. Like a writer's room. So
which he kind of did, which I think he's kind of alluded to, like, and he said that he wants to have comic book writers in the room all the time, which is why like I'm mostly excited for Lanterns because you have Damon Lindelof is regarded as one of the greatest television writers of all time. Now, I loved Watchmen, the television series. It was not direct to the comic book at all. Did either of you guys see Watchmen? No. I love the series, but and it's interesting because it reminds me of what I hope they kind of go for with Lanterns, because it exists in this world where like you still get Dr. Manhattan and you have certain characters that also exist within that world, but it's not direct to the comic, where it just has a lot of the sensibilities and the themes and the kind of the ideas that come from that comic. With Lanterns, having him on board as a writer, and Tom King, who I also believe maybe he wrote Supergirl as well. He did, right?
He did
Woman of Tomorrow.
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow,
which is what is the movie is based on. So like I know that like James Gunn has comic writers also a part of these writing staffs, and I think that is great because it still keeps that tone, which we talked about in the Superman review. Like that movie is such a comic book movie ripped off the pages and put on screen that we're gonna want to see that going forward. And even with like we loved the Penguin, that's a different kind of sensibility, like that's really gritty and really grounded. And I like that they're doing these different kinds of things. There's a part of me that, though I am excited for the future, I am worried about how many things are happening at the same time. And I am a huge James Gunn fan, but it's so interesting to understand that he is such a writer and director that is now heading a studio, co-heading a studio. But there's so much of that like could get convoluted, So with the Ana Nogueira thing, it's more of that. I hope it's not that he's like latched on to a writer because he likes all of her ideas in terms of a character to then trust her to do everything. Because even like I think her doing Supergirl and Wonder Woman totally makes sense, but she's going to be writing 3 DC scripts back to back that have to do with all different characters. Like it just sounds like a difficult assignment. Not to say she's not up to the challenge, but it seems like there's a lot there, to handle.
And completely different tones as well from all 3 of those projects. Just very different characters. I'm just curious.
Last couple things that he said in the interview. Josh Horowitz had brought up an actor that has been rumored to maybe play Batman, Alan Ritchson, the main actor in the Reacher series on Amazon. James said he's thought about potential actors, but he said let's just wait until the movie comes out. He talked about meeting with Henry Cavill after Henry showed up at the end of Black Adam and how he was kind of done dirty by the old regime there, and how that was unfair to him because I believe either the week before Black Adam came out or the week after Black Adam came out, James Gunn and Peter Safran were announced as the heads of DC Studios. And James was like, this is not a part of our mission. This is not what we're going to do at all. We already knew we were going to go in a different direction. But he did say in the interview that he would love to work with Henry Cavill, and he would definitely consider him for future DC projects and DC characters. So that was an interesting thing. And he also said, and he's kind of been a little cheeky about this online, but he said his next movie will be Superman involved, a Superman involved story, but not a direct sequel or team up film. And he confirmed it's not going to be Batman vs Superman or World's Finest. So with all of those things being said, I want to start with you, Michael. Have you had any thought? We're now 2 weeks, I believe, removed from the debut of Superman. Where do you think that character can go moving forward? Where do you think that if it's a Superman involved story, he says it's not a direct sequel, where do you think we could see kind of Superman end up with where his story is going to go moving forward as obviously one of the pillars, one of the big three of DC with him, Wonder Woman, and Batman?
I feel like it depends how soon we want to go with that. I keep forgetting that like James Gunn is, like you said, very much a writer director, so he's gonna want to jump on this soon. And like the grand scheme of things, I could see it being something as simple. I don't want to say simple, but like as simple as like a Superman Supergirl crossover sort of thing, you know, like, which I know is a prominent thing in the comics, but like I'm also saying simple because it's the two characters that we've already just been established to in this world already. I would love for it to be something that is in some way, shape, or form starting to tie together the Justice League. But that's also coming from, you know, that's really my only. Like, I know there's like the Justice League International. I know that there's different things. I don't know all of those different things. Yeah. So it's like, for me, it is really going to be just like a wait and see. But to everything else that you said with that, as far as Batman, I think Alan Richardson. Yeah. I think that he could be a good pick. I've seen that name as far as fan casting thrown around. And that dude's like huge.
That's my thought process.
Right?
You can't have a guy that's that big be bigger than Superman.
Yeah.
I think personally.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. I get. Yeah.
And David Cornswell's massive. Alan Richardson is one of the largest human beings I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and he's only getting bigger.
Season to season, it's like ridiculous. But no, I agree. I mean, like, yeah, for Alan Richardson, for Batman, I'm kind of hoping they go. I mean, they're gonna go younger. I liked the idea of what Ben Affleck represented as Batman a lot. I liked seeing a more grizzled Batman. I like that we have the juxtaposition with Pattinson because it's not like again, at the end of the day, regardless, and I hear you too, Michael, like it's partly for me, it's just that like we're so oversaturated with comic book content now that's where it gets confusing, and it's like we're gonna have two Batman at the same time because I think at the end of the day they're gonna let Reeves do his trilogy because he's such a great writer. That was actually another thing I didn't bring up. He asked James Gunn if he could work with any director in the DCU, who would he pick? And he said Matt Reeves. And then Horowitz was like, he's already a part of it. He goes, not in the DCU. So he would love for Matt Reeves to continue to do other stories within DC, which I thought was interesting. And he actually also referenced Ryan Coogler and Greta Gerwig as other people he would love to work with in the future in DC, which would be interesting. Because I know Greta Gerwig met a long time ago on Zatanna. So I feel like she might be into comics. But regardless of that, I think that for Batman, I want to see them do something different. I don't want it to be another young actor that they're like, let's just put the cowl on him. Like, no, I want them to have a different take. Yeah. And I know that you probably know a lot more about Brave and the Bold than I do. So I'm curious on what you think with that sensibility, where they can go.
Well, in my opinion, they need an older Batman. Because, I mean,
his son is Robin, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't have a Bat family and he's like, you know, a 30-year-old Batman. Like, you need... This guy has to be old. That sounds bad, but like,
how old are we talking?
I'm thinking in his 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, like you said with Ben Affleck, right? Because if we're at Damian, then and also Dynamic Duo confirms Jason Todd.
Yeah.
So Tim Drake is probably going to be in there too.
Are those all his sons?
No, Damian is his only blood-related son.
Okay. Oh,
The rest of them all adopted.
gotcha. Okay. I was like, how
This dude, bro.
Can he name them all Robin?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But under the assumption that we're at the 4th Robin at this point, he needs to be old. You know what I mean? And then also throw in Batgirl potentially, right? We have a Barbara Gordon. So that's my train of thought. However, I want to pitch to you guys because I saw this discussion online. He said he wanted to work with Henry Cavill again. People were like, "Oh, what if they cast Henry as Batman?"
I wouldn't like that.
No.
No, I think the reason why is that it's also and like we know the most about this stuff.
Yeah.
That's fucking confusing
Yeah.
for the audience.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I don't know. I don't see like. So I have a name that has been rumored for a while, and I'm pretty sure he tested for the role when Bale got the role. So he's been attached to the character for decades. What about Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman?
Yeah.
Again, I think he's in his 50s. He might be too pretty.
I think he's younger than that.
Is he? Okay. Because I'm trying to think of like again in that like Ben Affleck is probably older than he is.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know many other actors that I can think of that like off the top of my head.
I know one.
Yeah, who's your pick?
My pick was, and it wasn't necessarily a pick, but it was just I heard this name rumored, and I was like, oh, I could see it. The Brandon
Sklenar.
Yeah.
The thing with that is that he's like if based on what you're saying with the Brave and the Bold, he's way too young because I believe he's in his 30s. He's a Jersey boy, so I'll always root for Brandon Sklenar. And I think again, based on look, he'd be a great Batman, but based on if they're gonna go this take with a young kid, because Damien's what like 13.
Yeah, Damien's young.
Yeah, so even if he's playing like a 30-year-old Batman, it's not like he's having the kid at 17.
In that regard, then I could see Alan maybe just even with like again, he's huge, but like he also then needs like a dad bod. He needs like a Batman dad. You know, it's not dad, but
Batman
you know what I'm saying?
daddy.
Like he's like he's gonna be like
Brolic, dude.
Yeah, like and like also if I'm not mistaken, doesn't he start the Justice League?
He does in the DCEU, definitely.
He does, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if they're gonna go that route with Gunn's universe.
Well,
But
I don't know. I feel like his character could represent an older Batman
yeah,
as well as I could see his character being the one to be like, I'm gonna come in and change things. You know?
yeah. You had
Dude, something just came to mind. What if they don't even do Bruce Wayne for Brave and the Bold? Because hear me out. In the comic books, during the Grant Morrison run, Batman died. Or he quote unquote died. And then Dick Grayson, he retired the mantle of Nightwing and he took the Batman mantle over. So for a period of time, Dick Grayson was Batman and his Robin was Damian. And they were the duo. They were Batman and Robin.
interesting.
They're probably not going to do that because I feel like if they did that, they're going to be like, oh, right. But
It is interesting that all those kind of projects revolving around Dick exist, though.
yeah,
You know, like if they're gonna do a Teen Titans, if they're gonna do a dynamic duo, which that's gonna come out in 2028. So it's like, and then Batman Part 2 is going to be 2027. It's like, if we don't, we might not, I think it would be kind of crazy, but we might not see a Batman in the DCU for another 10 years from now, which is kind of crazy if that happens. But I could see them. There was also somebody had suggested this. I think this would be an interesting way to kind of introduce a Batman into the universe without giving so much away and kind of building anticipation. What if at the end of Clayface, you're kind of wheeling him into Arkham? And you're having a Batman maybe behind the glass, kind of looking over his files and getting us into that sort of situation.
Does Clayface take place in DCU or
Yes.
Matt Reeves'
Yes.
universe?
No, in the
Okay.
DCU.
Okay.
Yeah, he confirmed that. James Gunn confirmed that in the interview, which is also interesting because, again, it's like the projects that we're getting all existing within the same universe are so polar opposite of each other. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited to see where they go. There's a lot of stuff to think about. I'm excited to get into Peacemaker with you guys in a month. I'm excited to kind of jump back into the world again. And I think I'm going to rewatch Peacemaker. You got to watch Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was actually planning on watching it tonight.
Oh,
going
nice.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start Creature Commandos because I know that's also important going forward. That was also renewed for season 2, and I think it was just thrown out recently about what that team is going to look like for season 2 because it'll be a different team. But I'm excited to see where they go. Anything else from you?
I'm excited.
All right, we're all excited, guys. Thank you for being watching this long. If you guys have, we're really excited to talk about the future of the DCU with you guys. So let us know in the comments. What are some projects that you guys are excited for? What are you guys thinking about the aftermath of this world and this universe post Superman? Some spinoffs you want to see, some characters you hope to see sooner than later, and all the other developments that have come out. We'll be covering a lot of other DCU stuff going forward for you guys. And check out our Superman review if you guys haven't had a chance to see it yet. But we're just really excited going forward with what they're going to do. Give this video a like if you guys can. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe. You can follow us on social media. All that stuff is below me. It's also in our YouTube description. Just signing off. I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Vinny Albano.
I'm Michael Peniston.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.